So I'm just sitting here again because I got nothing better to do because I'm frickin' dead. Still worrying about this freaking inflation stuff. Yeah, it's getting worse. Even the mainstream media is talking about it now. It was just reported by the government the other day that the inflation rate was 5.4% per year. Bull crap. That might be the increase in certain consumer prices, but as we learned last time I talked to you, rising prices are just a symptom of inflation. Remember this dead guy, Milton Friedman? He said inflation is always and everywhere a monetary phenomenon. We talked about the true definition of inflation, and that is the relationship between the amount of goods and services in the economy and the amount of money that is around that could be used to buy those goods and services. So how can we measure inflation? What is the formula for the rate of inflation? So I called these clowns again. They didn't answer my calls again. So I Googled it, whatever Google means. Couldn't find a formula to calculate inflation as it should be measured. So I figured I'd use the old skull here and figure a formula that truly measures the rate of inflation. Okay, let's recap. So what have we learned so far? We learned inflation is the relationship between the goods and services in the economy, the GDP, and the money out there in the economy that can be used to buy those goods, the money supply. And we can put that into a ratio of money over goods. We want to compare ratios from different periods of time. We can call one ratio the current period, and we can compare it to a prior period of time, the prior period ratio. The difference between the two is how much these ratios have changed over that period of time. If we want to get a rate of inflation, we can divide that difference in those ratios by the ratio at the beginning of the time period, the prior ratio. That's it, people. That's a mathematical formula to calculate inflation. It's not rocket science. The clowns could probably even understand it. Okay, let's get some numbers and plug them into this formula. I'll use the same numbers that all the clowns use, the numbers from the Federal Reserve website, FRED. For the amount of goods and services, we'll use their numbers for real GDP. These GDP numbers have already been adjusted by the Fed to reflect a more accurate number for GDP. For the money out there that could be used to purchase these goods and services, we'll use M2. Here, I've put these two graphs together so we can read the numbers from a specific time. To start with, I will look at the fourth quarter 2019, and that ratio was 0.79. If we go back 10 years to the fourth quarter 2009, that ratio of money to goods was 0.55. Now we use the super special inflation formula to show that inflation for that 10-year time period was 44%, or on about 4% on average per year. By the way, the clowns were claiming that inflation of 2% per year during those years. Now let's look at the most recent numbers that I could get. Second quarter 2021, the ratio of money to goods was 1.04. You'll notice, using the Fed's real GDP numbers for the goods in the economy, and M2 for the money out there, there is now more units of money than there are units of goods in the economy, and that has never happened before, ever. Using the super special inflation formula and plugging in the numbers for the second quarter 2021 and the fourth quarter 2019, we can see that we get an inflation rate of 32% over that year and a half period. That's an inflation rate of 24% per year. So what the frig? Why are all the clowns claiming an inflation rate of 5.5%? What the frig is going on? Well, remember, the 5.5% is measuring the rise in the consumer price index. That measures the increase in prices for a specific group of goods that the government has put into its basket of consumer goods. I won't get into the problems and shenanigans that this way of measuring prices has, but let's just say they're feeding us a load of crap. But okay, skeleton, you say, I really only care about prices of things. I don't care about all these other inflation numbers. Yeah, and I'd say, but when the money is put out there into the economy, there is no telling where it is going to go. It could be used to rent cars. These prices have gone up 43% in the past year. Or it could be used to buy bacon. That has gone up 19% in the past year. Or it could be used for homes or stocks, and those prices go up. So there's no way to know what money is going to chase what goods. But what we do know is that the ratio of goods and services in the economy to the amount of money that could be used to buy those goods has gone up 32% in the past year and a half at a rate of 24% per year. Not the 5.5 those clowns are telling us. I demand an answer from them. I demand they tell us why we should believe them about the inflation numbers and not believe that the true rise in the inflation rate is much, much higher. I won't hold my breath, though, while waiting to hear back from them. No matter, I really can't hold my breath at all anymore these days. Next time, I'll get into the relationship between the amount of goods out there and the amount of money out there, and the dramatic significance of what happened here in the beginning of 2020, the dramatic fall in the U.S. GDP and the government's response to that, the dramatic raising of the money supply. Now, though, I gotta go. I gotta get my beauty rest so I can keep looking good for you humans out there. Till next time, be there. Aloha.